What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I want to talk about this trade this morning. I'm uploading this trade. We got very late because I've been on the road all day and I still wanted to get it out to you guys. But yeah, I was late flying this morning, so I couldn't do a video. But here's a trade I took. I want to explain this. I want to talk about a couple other trades that, because I saw a lot of people on Instagram was confused and they listen to the wrong people. So, yeah. All right. So, a lot of people ask me, like, what was the context behind this trade that I took this morning? Well, the first thing is first is this. This was technically dead high at 8:30, but it looked better than so we saw that. And then other than that, this was just such a giant cluster. Okay, I call this a cluster. Whenever we have this cluster liquidity where all these highs are just the same spot, it's like a supply zone. Okay, and these supply zones, right, have so many stops above them. So I saw this as a supply zone, and I'm like, okay, because we were holding, because we were holding the hourly BPR to the left, which you can see here, okay, the body respected it. I figured we'd go towards that cluster liquidity. So if we go to the hourly, we have a BPR, which is basically a bearish for rally gap and a bullish for rally gap lined up together. We manipulate below all this chop. Okay, see all this chop right here? Chop, 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 chop. Manipulate, distribute. Okay, so it's AMD. So going to today, I saw we were holding, and I'm like, I come in the charts, and I'm like, yeah, guys, like I have to try this. Like, there's just no way. So the 2 minute would have been the better entry, like right before open, or like right on the opening candle. But I actually got in a little earlier, and thankfully the play worked. But because we broke this 1 minute, I was like, okay, I was gonna go for a 1-on-1. I was gonna go for this, okay. But then I told people, I'm like, if we get too close to open, I'm going to hold to these highs. And that's a complete time thing. Okay, that is time. Why would I hold to these highs if we were at open? And why would I just take 1-on-1 if we didn't hit it? Okay, let me re-explain this. Basically, if we hit this high like at 925 or 924, 923, because you got to realize I got in at 914, I would have just taken the 1R, which was about this. Right? This is what I was going to take. But because we kept stalling and we got right close to open, I'm like, okay, I'm expecting price to be bullish anyways. And if I'm right, I know after we chop overnight, right here, chop overnight, I know that I'm expecting a New York expansion. So because we never hit the break even on my first CP before open, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to hold this through open. Instead of having a stop here, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to put a hard stop at the lows. I don't care about the relative equal lows because we were holding an hourly BPR, so to me that's more important. And I was just going to go for a way higher R. So that's what I did. So was it a gamble? Yes, it was a gamble at open, but was it truly a gamble? No, because I had a hard stop. So it wasn't actually a gamble, but I kind of called it a gamble on stream. But because of the overnight chop, I was expecting New York expansion, which I was right. And because of the cluster of highs up here, which you can see I said right here. I literally said today, like 5 a.m., I'm like, we're going to get good price action today. Look at this. Right? I said we'll finally get good PA today, and I knew that because we were chopping. Okay? Consolidation leads to expansion. Expect New York to be good. So that was kind of my thought process behind why I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to hold farther than the TP at open. Okay, because again, the opening is technically a macro. And what does a macro do if I'm right about liquidity? It will pump towards the draw. Okay. Now what's funny is we left equal highs up here. Okay, we never actually hit the final high. I just got out because it just filled me. We left equal highs. We got another 30-second that was a banger to the equal highs. Okay. Right here. Some people stopped out on it, but if you know how to train my model, this is not a stop out. Okay, we held. And, I guess the RR on this was pretty bad. Maybe if you got to retrace, but, probably size are there, and then it would probably just hit a 1-on-1 if you tried holding for 1-on-1, and, you probably want to break even on the highs. So here, there's no point in taking profit at the highs. You just go break even there, like knowing this would definitely hit, and then you just go for whatever the 1R is, because honestly, once we hit these equal highs, there was really nothing else on the left. There was nothing else to the left. There's literally just a gap here, so I would have only gone for 1R there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's that. Now, this short, I didn't love it because the fact that the 1 minute was a lot more obvious here, and I would have waited for the 1 minute inverse here. Okay, 1 minute, 10 times more obvious. It wasn't a 10 a.m. reversal. You know, we just got into the macro time at 9:50, and we didn't even inverse the 1 minute. So I'm not really expecting the macro to run at that point. And if I am looking for a 10 a.m. reversal, which this would fit the profile to look for one, this just wasn't even close to 10 a.m. Okay, so again, because this didn't close, would not touch this. But 2 minute close, 1 minute didn't. 1 minute was more obvious. This was a better player here. Okay, I honestly would give this like an A- setup. I don't think this is the most A+ setup in the world. This could have easily failed, but it worked. You know, I probably would have taken this in eval if anything. Eval play for me. Okay, but yeah, that worked. And then the play that I really liked was this short. Okay, this 3 minute short or the 2 minute. Like there was a short on every time frame, but I like this play a lot because it was a 10 a.m. reversals, mainly based off time. We had a death candle coming from the top of the fair value gap. You could have picked the hard spot there, and you could have got an instant 1R. And like I said, if you're doing the challenge this week, this would have fit the 1R challenge. Okay. And then my final TP, if you would have held, would have just probably been this unbalanced gap. The reason why I would not go for anything further here, like now for these relative lows, is because the hourly BPR. I would not like if we're dealing on an hourly BPR, you gotta understand like this low right here is so damn protected, dude. So it's terrible liquidity pool to go for there. Okay, terrible. And then other plays, I feel like everything else was just a pattern trade. Like this is a pattern trade right here. You know, it worked. Even this, like, this actually was pretty good, the short, but wouldn't have hit full TP if you're going for the low. But that wasn't bad either. It would have been a break even. Maybe if you went for a 1R would have hit. Yeah, it would have been still 1R. And then yeah, other than that, I don't really see anything else. We had NVIDIA earnings, but and then for tonight, if you're watching this tonight, this was a banger. We took this really good job. This is just perfect, dude. So New York's probably going to be a little worse tomorrow, which is all right. But, you know, we already got this Asia banger, which a lot of people in my Discord took. And, yeah, that's going to be a little recap of today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. By the way, don't forget to code Dodgy. TPT is a 50% off sale right now, I think. And then Apex 90% off. They have their legacy accounts right now, I think. They brought the legacy accounts back so you can get bigger payouts. And then Lucid has 40% off the daily end of day. So, you know, whichever ones you've been trading, my code should work for a discount for all of them. But Apex if you're broke, Lucid if you're like an average trader, TPT if you're a really good trader and want a good live program. So, all right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.